Good afternoon, everybody. Jamie Marshall here. I'm the owner and principal of Southern Cross Yachting. Engine's very important. Looking after the engine is very important. Having a maintenance log is important, so writing everything down and scheduling when things need to be maintained and replaced and updated and things like that is important to keep a log of all those things. And you can download various maintenance logs online and print those out and keep them on the boat so that you're up to date with oil changes and servicing, essentially. Once you've had a good look around the engine and you're satisfied that everything looks as it should, the next check would be to check the condition of the belts. So I say belts because some engines will have multiple belts depending on what you're running. If you're running one alternator or two alternators, you may be running water pumps, bilge pumps, fire pumps. This particular engine only has one bilge pump. So for that we need to just quickly open these 4 or 5 nuts here, which is holding on the casing, which is protecting the fan belt behind it. I haven't run the engine. It's worth mentioning that when you do check the engine, make sure that it is not so hot that it's dangerous to touch. And of course, I should mention that whenever you do your checks, make sure that the engine is off. You should never ever put your fingers anywhere near the fan belt or the engine in general if the engine is turned on. And the first check we're going to do is just a visual check, so just looking around the fan belt, kind of running your finger over it a little bit without putting any grease or any kind of anything on there that shouldn't be on there, but just making sure the condition of the fan belt itself is good. And then it's essentially testing how much tension there is in the fan belt. So to do that, I have what I call a 90-degree test, and the 90-degree test would be taking hold of the fan belt and actually turning the fan belt almost 90 degrees. So what you're doing there is you're essentially testing the tension to make sure it's not too loose, but also that it's not too tight as well. If you've ever heard or seen a fan belt that is too loose, you will hear that kind of high-pitched squeaking noise, which means that the belt essentially isn't getting traction on either the alternator, which is over here, or the water pump that is over here, and that means it's not turning either properly. Could also be signs of a slightly aging fan belt. So we're just going to do an oil check. An oil check essentially involves 2 things. Firstly, it involves having a look under the engine to make sure that there's no kind of spillage or oil that's drained into the bilge. Move the dipstick from the engine. You may get a drip or 2 coming off, but you just need to wipe those up. And then, without turning the dipstick upside down, you're going to check those oil levels. So you will have a couple of markers on the dipstick, or maybe a couple of holes, showing you the level that the oil should be at. And it should be, you can see one marker here, and then one marker just over there. And the oil level should be between those 2. If you have too much oil, it can be bad for the engine, just as much as too little oil. So you need the right amount of oil. Here is at the back of the engine. It's a sail drive, so essentially the gearbox and the propeller are all one, as opposed to a gearbox and a shaft, which can be separate. So it's important that we have the right amount of oil in there. So if I open the lid, I don't know if you can see that. I don't really want to drip it everywhere, but you can kind of see that the level is slightly higher than the high mark. I am turning it upside down a little bit. And also that looks like it's a little bit thin for some reason, so that may be because it's warm, but I might just take a sample of that oil later and have it checked out to make sure that it's okay. If you're happy with the level, then just do the top back up again. Again, visual check, look all around the gearbox, make sure there are no kind of spillages or leaks or anything like that. It's a good opportunity while you're here and you've got the panels off for the engine to really have a good look around at any kind of pipes, kind of seals, cables or wires that are in place. Make sure you have proper lubrication on things, and again, visual check is really important. You may discover through vibration or something the engine is constantly working when you're underway, not sailing obviously, but when it's running, that you kind of have anything that is looking like it might become loose at any point. Now's a great opportunity to kind of fix those things. Okay, the next thing to do is to check our raw water filters. So some boats have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 depending on the size of the engine and the boat, but here is our raw water filter. It's a pretty typical filter. You can see here it will have an inspection glass or made out of transparent plastic, plexiglass on the top so you can see through. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take the lid off the raw water filter. Make sure that you have turned the stopcock off, so if you follow these pipes here, one of them will go to the bottom of the boat somewhere, and there will be a stopcock there that you need to turn off, otherwise you get excess water coming in. So I've done that, and then you should be able to take the lid off. So, and you can see there, this is a good opportunity to kind of clean any dirt or anything like that. And then here you'll see the filter itself. So if I remove the filter there, and you can see already that the filter is quite dirty and full of gunk, and a little bit of seagrass in there. So this is a really good opportunity to clean the filter out. And once you've finished cleaning the filter, it should look a bit more like this, nice and clean inside and out, and ready to go back into our raw water filter housing. So now we are ready to put back the filter into the housing, the newly cleaned filter, which is nice and clean here. We've also cleaned our filter lid with some fresh water, no soap or anything like that. And we have also put a little bit of white grease or Vaseline around the rubber seal here so that we get a nice clean connection between the rubber and the lid. So just put that in there, make sure that the holes line up with each other, and then we're just going to do up the cap. First of all, we're going to do it up sort of finger tight. Hi guys, we're in the last few moments of our engine checks now. We've checked the fan belts, we've checked the oil levels in the gearbox and the engine, we've checked our raw water filter, which we were able to clean. We're now just checking that we have enough fresh water in the expansion tank over here, so plastic container in the engine housing. We'll have a little bit of antifreeze, which is an anti-corrosive, mixed with fresh water, just making sure that that's circulating around the engine as well. So just check the levels and make sure you have enough. I hope this little video has been useful to you. Very simple checks that we recommend that you do every day, really, whenever you're starting your engine, and the more you look after your engine, the more your engine will look after you. Please look at our website, www.southerncrossyachting.com.au, for more information on courses. We have lots of things coming up all the time, all through the year. The weather here in Queensland is just fantastic. It's a great place to go sailing, and we're looking forward to welcoming you and seeing you soon.